So what's up guys, today I'm going to be doing a video on my run-ins with law enforcement. I notice I see videos where people are speaking on, like, if you ain't involved in, like, if you're not up to no good, like, the cops won't message you, like maybe they might pull you over, but they ain't going to merely message you. Well, that's not necessarily true. Way before I ever got involved in drugs or any type of criminal activity, I was getting pulled over by the cops. It happened to me really young too. I was about 13 years old the first time I got stopped by the cops, right? I was hanging out with my friend. It was actually Pomona PD. I was hanging out with my friend and we went to some park. His mom took us, me and his brother, I was just hanging out with him. I went with him and we went to a park. I think it was actually Washington Park. This is the first time I ever got pulled over by the cops, and I was about 13 years old. And we seen the cop because we were running through I think it was kind of like a hill, up a hill, but there was like a lot of bushes there. There's a lot of leaves and shit like that. So we see the cops coming. And I had a knife on me, and we threw it under the bushes. So they come. So anyway, the cops come and see what we're doing, and they start to search us and all that. So they search us. We don't have nothing. We weren't really doing nothing anyways. So anyways, we get searched and all that. And they're asking, where's all the joints at? They asked me, where's all the joints at, and this and that. And I'm like, I don't know anything. I don't know nothing about that. So anyway, they suggest that it ain't really that bad. And then they go about their business, they leave us alone. And then we take off, but then we go back and get the knife because, at first we couldn't find everything. We found it back. So that was the first time I ever got stopped. And after that, it just continued on. Where I grew up in Chino, the cops always would message you, like, they'll pull you over. Like, in this city, like, you could not go nowhere without getting pulled over. Like it wasn't that bad. Like whether you were, like, so I was not involved in no drugs or none of that at the time when I first, so that first incident, that was the first time I got pulled over, and probably like a week or two later, I started getting harassed by the cops, like, all the time. Like, I remember growing up, like, Chino PD, they're like, pretty much they were always after drugs. So, like, they were trying to always get people for 11,550, like, 11,550 under the influence, possession charge. They'll bust you for other little shit, but their main thing was always under the influence of their possession. Like, if anybody who's ever lived in Chino, and like, I'm telling you, this was back in the like mid to late 90s type of thing, and I'm pretty sure before that time, but this is when I started getting, they started hassling with me. So if you were anybody who's ever lived in Chino during that era, they want to know what's up. I don't know about now if it's still like that, but that's how it was when I was living there. So, like, you could not like walk down the street. If you're gonna walk down the street, expect to get pulled over. That's how I was living, like, all the time. I remember like I said, I started getting pulled over, and they would always accuse me of being on speed and this and that. Where's the speed at? Yada yada yada. Always thinking I'm on speed when this is before I ever experienced with any of those drugs or anything. I never messed with it. So like I said, if you ever lived there, and you ever walk down the street, just expect to get pulled over. And I mean, if you don't get pulled over, it's probably a slow day for them or something. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're hiding out. So that was one incident. And then when I started getting pulled over, just always like, they would pull you over for bullshit, like, oh, where are you going? Where are you coming from? Like, always being nosy, like, all up in your business and shit. Like Like, where the fuck are you going? Like, what does it matter? It's none of your fucking business. Like, that's what I used to think in my head, but I wouldn't tell them. But I think one time I did have an attitude with them, and I told them it's none of your fucking business where I'm going. Like, I was a little kid. I was like, I was a little teenager. I was like, 13, maybe in between 13 and 15, some shit like that. I always get pulled over by them. And if you were into, if you were into like, into anything, like if you ever had anything, or if you were high, then you always have to have somebody ahead of you, like keeping a lookout, like from alley to block. From every alley to every block, you'd always have to have somebody watch out for you. And if you're cool with the people, because usually everybody pretty much knew each other there, but there were certain families that didn't get along. But that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother topic. Like, because everybody pretty much they're pretty much related, like in that city. So you would have to cut through houses and shit like that to get to where you wanted to go. In order, if you did have anything on you, or if you were under the influence or whatever, but that pretty much their shit was to catch people higher, in possession, drug paraphernalia, all that shit, under the influence, whatever. I remember here's an incident. Me and my uncle, we get pulled over. And the guy, like, they bring the whole fucking, just for me and him, they bring the whole Chino PDs there. The Chino PD, everyone, like, they're pretty, well, I might be over exaggerating, there's probably about 5-6 cars just on us. They're searching, they're checking, they're testing our eyes and all that shit. Doing all these tests on us, trying to figure out if we're high. Like, they weren't really messing with me at this time. Like I said, I really didn't. I had, at this time, I'm probably about 15 or some, around that age. So I had tried speed at the time, but I wasn't like a constant user. So they were mainly focused on my uncle. Like, they were doing all these tests on him, like they didn't know what he was on. And finally they like kind of like figured it out, and they're getting all happy. They're giving each other high fives. The K9s are doing backflips and all that shit. Now I'm bullshitting with the K9s. So like I was saying, Chino PD, they got my uncle from under the influence. They're getting all wet. They got all wet over it under the influence. They act like they got a bank robbery suspect, somebody for a homicide. Like, they only got somebody for under the influence, but that was always their little get down. Another thing they used to do is they'll call you out of your yard. Like, some of them, yeah, they would call you out of your yard. Like, come here. They wanted you to come step out the yard so they could fuck with you. They would just run up in your yard. Another thing they would do, they'd run up in your yard if they knew there was like a parolee or somebody on probation or something. It would be, parolee, gang member, whatever. They would run up in your yard and just fucking rush you to the ground. That's one thing. That's another thing they would do. I forgot to say. See, those are, I'm just saying a few examples of my experiences. And then other spots where you move to, they would pull us over, but it was not as bad as like that city. And like they're pretty like always trying to get you for under the influence or whatever. I don't know why they would do that. I think some of them used to fuck around, and I think maybe they might do it just to maybe get people to snitch on them or some shit like that, or snitch on like the plugs there, and or maybe they used to want to do it to get maybe to get girls. I don't know, to just get some head for some girls just to get them out. Like probably threaten girls. I don't really know why they would do it. I don't know why they would do it. Just because I think they were back then, like in these during this era. It was if you racked up a bunch of under influence, if you racked up a bunch of under the influences, somewhere down the line you'll probably end up getting busted. Like, you go to jail for like, I don't know, like 90 days or some shit like that if you didn't take care of your shit. But yeah, they would always get my uncle for under the influences and shit like that. And yeah, that was just always there. You know, maybe they just wanted to just come up off you, get you for your dope, and say you're gonna get covered this much, and they'll keep the rest. I don't really know, you know what I mean? Okay, so at other places, like they would pull us over, but a lot of times they would just let us go. Like I remember living in Pomona, they were, and I was under the influence, and like I lied about my age one time when I was a little bit older, and I lied about my age. But they wanted to take me in for under the influence. It was like the sheriff's department, San Bernardino County Sheriff's. I used to live in Pomona, but it's San Bernardino County still. So the sheriffs pulled us over, and I was under the influence. They did all these testing, and I lied about what I was on. But anyway, they were gonna get me for under the influence. But then they had to get the okay from like one of their superiors, and then just letting me go. So see, they were cool right there. Like Chino PD, they wouldn't let you let nothing slide. Like they'll get you for any little thing they could get you for. That's how, you know. I noticed there is a difference between. It depends on each city. It's always different. So that's one. That's you know, that's how it was there in Pomona. And then I remember even living in Ontario, and they used to sometimes fuck with you, like to see if you were high or whatever. I remember one time, I was already older, I was an adult at the time, and they're accusing me of being on dope, but like this is how I was. I wasn't the type of person that tell people my business, especially the cops. I didn't like them to know my business. Like one time my daughter was sick. So I went to go to the store. It was like 2 in the morning. I used to work nights, and I had just got home. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I went to go to the corner convenience store, right? To go get her a 7-Up. She wasn't feeling good. So the cops pulled me over, and then, you know, they're thinking, and they had me out there for a long time. They always used to have me for a long period of time, and you know, I wasn't even up to no good or anything. Okay, so my battery had died out. My battery died and shit. So let me continue on about Ontario about the time. You know, they were fucking with me, like, cause my daughter was sick. I was on my way to the store to get a 7-Up for her. She had an upset stomach or something. So they pull me over. They're fucking with me, right? So they're fucking with me. They had me there for a long time, probably about an hour and a half, just messing with me, saying that I'm smoking the glass dick and this and that. I wasn't even messing around at the time. You know, I was working, just fucking going to work and coming home, you know, taking care of the family, all that shit. So they would do all that shit. See, those are just like the things, you know, but like, it ain't always like, oh, if you're up to no good, you know, there you're gonna get the cops, are gonna mess with you when you're up to no good. No, there was times when I was up to no good and not, like, you know what I mean? It was always up and down with me. Like, I wasn't always constantly up to no good. Like, and I really wasn't up to no good. I was just surviving, doing shit to survive. You know, like, you know, they would message you for stupid shit. Like, let me go back to Chino PD. Like, you know, like they would be on some bullshit all the time, and other departments too. Other departments would be on some bullshit. Like, you know, you act like I'm fucking doing something. Like, say, okay, for under the influence. People, you're trying to get you for under the influence is a bullshit. I think there's people doing real shit out in the streets. Like, I don't know, I've had other situations, like, I have had other situations, but like, if I want to get high, that's my thing. It's not like I'm robbing somebody to get high. Like, you know, when I used to get high, I used to work and get high. But anyway, that's some other things. So anyways, it ain't always where people say, like, oh, they won't message you if you're alright. Yeah, there was times I was just working and coming home. I'm doing my thing, you know, I'm not messing around or nothing. So, you know, there it is there, like, not everything is the same. Like, I wasn't doing nothing and I used to get messed with by the cops. Like, I don't think I stopped getting The cops didn't stop giving me a hard time until I moved up to where I live now. And I think I only got to stop one time, and it's only because I went to these apartments with my aunt's boyfriend, and it was just because these apartments were hot. That's the only reason why I got pulled over in there. You know, the cops come running and messing with us. And actually, my aunt's my aunt's boyfriend, he actually had a warrant. They didn't sweat us, you know. So it just depends on what department you're working with. Some people just don't want to mess with that bullshit. They'll leave it to the rookies to take you in for like punk ass warrants and shit. Maybe if there was like a big time felony warrant, they'll probably pull you in. But anyways, yeah, there it is. That's pretty much what I was speaking. I'm just giving you a few examples of times I got pulled over. And you know, just my personal opinion on it, like me, the way I grew up, I really didn't really have good relationships with them. So me personally, I don't mess with them. I'm pretty sure they're good for some things, like I don't know, like if you have to file a report, like for insurance type of thing or anything like that. You know, I've had family who called them, which I really didn't ever recommend. And they never sided with my family. They always side with the other person. Like, that's why one thing, I don't mess with them. Like, my personal opinion, I don't mess with them. But they are probably good for something. Me personally, I don't use them for anything. But that's pretty much, I want to give you my run-ins with law enforcement. You know, and you know, they pulled me in for stupid shit, but that's a whole nother thing too. So that's pretty much what I wanted to break down to you guys. It's not always, because if you're always like you're just going to living the straight, like you're not always gonna just get left alone. Like they'll mess with you. I think it just depends where you live. Or another time when I live where I live now, they were gonna mess with me too. It was like the borderline, crossing from one city to the next, going to Ontario, but the Hura, he pulled right in front of us. Me and my wife, we were driving. He stopped right in front of us, and he just stopped in the middle of the street staring at us like, I mean, he's in our way, we can't go. So we just stuck at the stop sign. He's staring at us for a minute, then he takes off. So pretty much, yeah, never got messed with anymore. I think it just depends on your city you live in too. So with that, I'm gonna let this video go, and I'm out.